can, there you go. Okay. It's a fun little exercise. How do you make money?
Feet pictures. Baby feet specifically.
Yeah, man, I wish I could be one of these, like, these, selling my photos online type of feet person, because that just seems like, people are probably like 200. This girl selling pictures of her swimming every day. She just puts up a live stream and people pay to watch her swim laps.
Yeah, like Periscope, but that's old school.
She's making like, I don't know, like $150K a year because she swims 20 minutes a day and people pay to watch her swim. Weird.
What's wrong with this world?
I know.
It's like, yeah.
People are voyeuristic.
They figure it out. And they're lonely, and this is their outlet, and they fantasize, and they don't have EO. Okay, so there's 1,000 ways you can monetize your business. You got a hair salon, okay? You don't just cut hair to make money, right? How other ways do you make money?
Sell product.
You sell product. What else you do? You got a referral system? Someone refers a client.
Yeah, I do have a referral.
All right. You got incentive programs for people, right? There's a million ways that you can monetize your business. Uh-oh, did I go the wrong way? Yeah, I did. So I'll give examples on Grovara. When we first started Grovara, I would buy a product. I would buy like GT's kombucha, and a case was $12. My cost from GT.
That's a good price.
I would mark it up 20%. And that's the price that I would give to my downstream buyers. They would pay me, I take my margin, I pay GT. That's my business model. Right? Makes sense. But that's not my only business model. Because then quickly I was like, well, wait a minute. GT would pay X amount of dollars a month to be in my catalog.
Be what?
In my catalog. So I started charging GT. And now I had a subscription agreement from my brands. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Carrefour France would pay to have the exclusive access of GTs in France. Carrefour starts paying me a monthly subscription fee. So now I'm making my 20%. I'm getting my monthly VIG from the brand, and I'm getting paid my monthly VIG from the buyer, in addition to, right? And it builds from there. You can create a club, $25 a year. You can get unlimited haircuts every month at $15 a hair. I don't know. But you can afford to be creative. And especially if you're trying to differentiate in 2023 and pop out and be different, revenue models are one way to look at it. Subscription agreements are pretty good. It's very easy to be creative in 2023. There's cheap technology systems out there that you can implement. They handle like a referral code or a QR code type of thing. There's different affiliate channels you can talk to online. So you can get like a third-party sales rep selling your product for you, right? Or a third-party marketing company that's leading a digital ad campaign for you, and then they're getting a percentage of the revenue. And there's all these different revenue models in 2023 that you can afford to be creative and set up. We then set up Grovara, and now you go to our website, and it's a B2B marketplace. So what do? We created marketplace marketing. So if GT wants to be the first kombucha that people look at when they search kombucha, GT is now paying for that, right? So you can see the evolution of the business and how we keep adding in new revenue models to help scale our growth. It's a little bit different when you got there might be limitations.
Yeah, legal limitations.
Of course. But you know your business.
Yeah.
And there's other things you can do. You have 7 rooms.
Yeah.
Maybe you get, I don't know, a holistic CBD company to send you a sample, send you a product. You put it in each room on a shelf, and if anyone buys it, then you're getting a percentage of whatever the sale is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you can be creative. Yeah, what's up, AJ?
I'll tell you a funny affiliate story. So there was a tech tool that it was it was really good. Not a lot of people knew about it. It was going from a lifetime one-time purchase to a monthly subscription. And I said, listen, if you give my networking group a discount, I'll do a webinar on it, make me an affiliate. So it was Friday morning. I posted this group. I said, at noon, I'm going to do a webinar showing you guys how you use this tool in my business. I showed them how to use the tool. I said, there's a 25% discount. Here's the link. It's only good for 3 days. He made $22,000 in an hour of my time, and I made $4,500 in a half an hour or 45-minute webinar. And he called me a month later. He goes, my wife urged me to call me and ask you what else we could do because it's the best month we've ever had in our business. So you can make some decent money doing affiliate work, assuming you're doing it for. It's unfortunate that there's all these influencers, right? Like you don't want to be the influencer that's kind of shilling people's wares you don't believe in. But this tool is actually really useful for industry, which is why I got behind it. So I think if you do stuff like that, even if like it was a Monday.com type scenario where you show how you use it, nothing's better than buying a product that someone endorses because they love the product versus the vendor pitching their product. If I can pitch your product, I'll sell it better than you can, right? So I find that to be a very good marketing.
Yeah, if you do your job right, your clients should become your friends, especially when you make them money. There's no better way to make someone your best friend than making them money and having their wife be your advocate and champion. Another exercise 4A, what are 5 ways you can or do make money? Go ahead, take a couple minutes, outline them here, be creative. You guys want to share? You want to share a little bit about how you make money?
Sure. Well, my main way I make money is obviously selling services, haircuts, color, things like that. We also sell products. I've thought about selling at-home tutorials on our website where people can log in and, pay a monthly fee and we'll have a stylist showing them how to do their hair at home, stuff like that. Like you said, selling subscriptions, that's something that I'm going to be implementing, but I haven't yet. And then one other way, which I just kind of came up with now, is my distributor kind of allows me to do almost like affiliate marketing where like my clients can go on my website, click a link, and it'll bring them to my distributor's website, and then I get 25% whatever they purchase. Normally I'd get, 100%, but so I was thinking I might be able to hire people to kind of advertise that for me and then take a smaller cut but do it on a bigger scale.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also like a hard part in identifying like, will this new revenue model make me more money, or am I doing it because I feel like I need to do something and it's going to be a distraction? So you gotta, and again, it's all math. So you got to put a pro forma together, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 6-month, 1-year plan, and then you stick to the math. At the end of the 30 days, you can reassess. How's it looking? I didn't hit my numbers in those 30 days. How come I didn't hit my numbers in those 30 days? Okay, well, maybe if I tweak this, and then after 90 days, okay, I actually did better in those 90 days, so maybe there's something here, right? Or it's, we try this for 90 days, and we know that we still didn't make money. This is a distraction. Let's just focus on our core competency, and maybe, you're right? So you can find that out. I do question, like, in like a lot of businesses right now, people are like social media content is huge. I think that's like really interesting. Like these people who overnight will be like, the person on YouTube who cuts hair, and they're getting 1 million views a month. They're getting like $6,000 a month from YouTube just for having a video on cutting people's hair. But then you get some other issues that pop up. Well, do I need to ask consent before I film? Which is not, you can work through it, but again, you can afford at this stage in your business to be creative and have a little bit of an R&D engine. Like get some research and development going so you can make sure that you are maximizing the opportunity here with each one of your clients. Make sense?
Brad Mondo, he started off a great hairdresser, critiquing other people on their YouTube videos and how they like messed up their hair, and now he's got a whole color line.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's called off color.
Started Brad Mondo.
Anyone else want to share any other revenue-making possibility options?
Just one I think everybody has odds here, which I think is the trend. Knowledge of how to do something in your industry. So, like in hair salons, the big thing is they have, it's called Phoenix. I think it's Fenix. They sell, it's like co-working spaces for hairstylists and nail technicians, I guess you're calling it the right term.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
and you can go and start your own little one-man, two-man show business in these things. Like, think if you had a training program on how to start that business from scratch. I mean, if you think about the numbers, like all of us, let's say, are less than $1 million a year, right? But there's 98% of businesses are below $1 million. There's people that are just starting out, people way less mature, way less knowledge about the industry and how to grow that business to where we are, which is the majority of businesses, right? So I think, like Rob, for instance, like if you taught people how to start, a bookkeeping business, like no one would know how to do Monday.com. They're winging it, right? Like the maturity that I think, especially people in this room, have in their businesses, if you can get past that imposter syndrome, I think there's a real benefit to it. Like I had mission, vision, and values way before, and core values way before my clients that have 150 employees. Like, there's a lot of opportunity for us to monetize our knowledge. And there's learning management systems you can build a whole program on, and it's evergreen content. Like it's money you keep making over and over and over
It's funny
again.
that you say that too, because I used to do mission, vision, values workshops in my marketing business, and I always assumed, well, first of all, you saw me struggle doing my own, right? But where I struggle is like, you just assume everybody knows it. Like, what am I selling you? It's mission, vision, values. You can look this shit up yourself. But people don't, right? I mean, I am agreeing with you. It's an interesting thing because I always struggled with like, well, doesn't everybody do this or know this?
And I think people are willing to pay for life experience, right? Like, if you're taking a learning program, like you're really paying for someone else's experience. Like you're kind of consolidating the school of hard knocks that you went through to run your business versus you telling me, condensing all the finer points.
Well, I was just thinking that, the approach to that also can be a little bit different from just, peer-to-peer coaching, right? Or that kind of thing. It also brings value to you as an expert in your industry to potential clients, right? So you're putting that information out there about like how to successfully, run and operate and do what you do, makes anybody who lands on that video or content of whatever kind it is realize that, oh, hey, this is somebody who knows what they're doing, and that's the kind of person I want to work with.
What's cool about it also is that the side effect, if you build a community around that, like Libby, you get everybody else's input on that industry too. So you have your community sharing information that you go, that's a great idea. Let me put that as a learning module, and all of a sudden you're monetizing their thoughts. It's crazy.
And that's I think business models are a differentiator, certainly in our marketplace, because we're subscription based. We're a professional service provider that only sells subscriptions, and so the idea behind it is, accounting is typically time materials. It's hourly, and we advise a number of customers on maybe how they can migrate to that. And for us, as you know, it's three sort of core: virtual accounting, virtual analysis, virtual CFO. Set services underneath each. You can customize it based on add-ons, and then we price based on what's important to a business owner. How many employees do you have, and what's your annual revenue? And the idea is that we're scalable. We kind of grow as you grow. And when I talk to people about scaling their business and how it fits into a subscription model, if you're willing to stay with a narrow focus of services and reject everything else, you can get there. So people say, do taxes? No. Will you do an audit? No. We do. There's a lot of things we say, no, we're not a fit. But there's plenty of people where we can get them started into the franchise at, say, like a starter virtual accounting subscription or something like that can then advance into KPIs and analytics, can advance into strategic types of things, so forth and so on. But ultimately, if you're going to go, say, the subscription route, it's getting very disciplined in your offering. And because the nice thing about that is you just maintain the same offering, you can scale it. It's McDonald's, right? I sell burgers, I don't sell lo mein, I don't sell onion rings, I don't sell Mountain Dew. I sell the same thing over and over again. You're either going to come to me and buy that, or you're going to go someplace else. And that's where the scale comes from. That's kind of what we're hoping for with that approach. So we'll see.
All right. Anything else to add here, guys, on revenue models?
So I think a lot about different ways that I can make revenue other than just legal services. And one of the ideas I have, and I just want to share it because I want to see what the room thinks, but I really would love to do a podcast, and I know podcasts are kind of like trendy. I feel like it's already like it's already kind of like old news, but I really want to figure out how to spend my time doing a podcast, and the podcast would be called Financial Distress, but it would be spelled DE-stress, right? So
De-stress.
yeah, so de-stress, but I don't know, because I thought about different workshops.
Again, as every decision you're going to make moving forward here, every decision you guys make moving forward here is after the conversation amongst people. The answer is math. 30-day, 60-day, I like 30-day, 90-day. 30-day, 90-day, 6-month, 1 year. Let's take your conclusion here. I want to start a podcast. Okay, great. Start a podcast. But let's do the math. What's your startup expense? Pro forma exercise is very important for decision making. Here's my 30-day plan. Here's my expenses, those first, my setup expenses. Here's the subscription to the platform that I'm going to be using for recording my podcast. Here's the amount of money I'm going to spend on a person to edit my podcast. Here's how much a nice mic is going to cost me. Here's the amount of hours each month I'm going to allocate to my podcast. Here's a list of the 5 people I want for my first 5 episodes. And you build out a whole pro forma for those first 30 days. By 90 days, I want to have one sponsor. Here's a list of 5 key sponsors I'm going to target over those 90 days, right? And then at the end of the 30 days, you can reflect, okay, I'm $800 into this, 20 hours into this. How am I feeling? Could my 20 hours have been spent and my $800 spent on social media marketing have given me a better outcome? Again, you can play with the numbers and figure it out. At the end of 90 days, I've done 6 podcasts. I thought I'd do 12 podcasts by now, but it's a little bit more time consuming than I was expecting. I had to put a little bit more work into it. So, but I did get that one sponsor. Okay, well, let's keep going. At the end of 6 months, you should know whether or not the podcast is working. If you only have like 250 views at the end of 6 months, you got to ask yourself, am I hitting my head against the wall? And how many times am I going to hit my head against the wall before I realize I'm not going to hit my head against the wall anymore? Or it could be the opposite. You could have some success. But again, that's why I say all these decisions that you guys come up with for these new revenue models, it goes back to the math. And it's going to be a cost-benefit analysis at the end of the day. Does it make sense? Again, 30-day, 90-day, 6-month is a really good first step for an indicator on whether or not you are where you want to be. And the last thing you want to be is 2 years into your podcast, you got 45 episodes and a combined 1,200 views. And then I did a podcast. But did you? Yeah, or did you just waste your time and now you got something it's non-relevant expired content? That's the question. Okay? But it could be a great lead gen. It could be the opposite. It could work. It does work. A lot of people are doing podcasts that are successful. And to them, there might only be, their target audience might only be 50,000 people a month, but they're getting 4,000 of those people each month. It's pretty good. Relative. You hear what I'm saying?
If 2,000 of those people a year are buying legal services from my firm.
You got it.
Fantastic.
It's all math.
So, when you do a sponsor,
Yeah.
you just mentioned that sponsor, but is the sponsor giving you money? How does that work?
Depends how you structure the sponsorship.
Amen. It's all, the fun part about being an entrepreneur is you can be creative. Hey, listen, give me $5,000 up front. I'm going to feature you for 6 months. If we don't hit 10,000 views in those 6 months, I'll give you 50% of your money back. I just made that up. You see what I mean? But you can afford to be creative. You can talk to your advisor. You can talk to an attorney. Or you can ask the sponsor, hey, how do you sponsor podcasts? And let them tell you how they do it. Sometimes it's not their first rodeo. So you got to keep that in mind.
How do you know when to, so I think that it being math equations makes sense, except for the fact that, where do you decide, since you're making the rules, you determine what success looks like, right? And that's where it makes it tricky, because some people are emotionally invested in their podcast, they don't want to drop it because it's like they love spending Sunday nights talking on the microphone, or they're looking to grow, and let's say the growth is coming, but not as quick as they expected. I think that's the biggest. It's not the start, it's the when to finish.
And it's
is
the
tricky
assumptions.
part. Yeah.
Setting the variable, identifying the variables, making your own assumptions, and holding yourself accountable to your assumptions. And having that self-reflection moment at the end of 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. I can't emphasize to you enough the amount of people who do not do these assessments. They're emotionally driven, not numbers driven. Numbers tell the story. Words don't sell a business. Numbers run and sell a business. Words are words. Math is a business. Otherwise, words is a hobby. If you're doing a hobby, then it's a hobby podcast, okay? Something you like doing in your free time. If it's a business revenue generating, referral generating, lead gen opportunity for your company, it's driven by numbers, not words, okay? When I ask for a business plan from people and they just give me, and it happens all the time, a 2-page executive summary with no numbers, they go, this is my business plan. What do you think? I go, I see words, dude. It's not a plan. It's words. Yeah, but did you read it? I don't need to read it. What are you going to hold yourself accountable to? The paragraph 2? No. I want to see a pro forma. I want to see January, February, March, Q1. Number of sponsors, number of listeners, number of podcasts, number of leads generated from those listeners, right? These are variables and metrics, and then we're going to have a creative exercise. What's my best case scenario, mid-level scenario, worst case scenario? And then at the end of 30 days, you're going to look back and be like, how are we doing? Right? Yeah, that come to Jesus moment, we actually can look in the mirror and be like, man, this didn't work. And that's okay. Maybe 10% of my ideas work, you know? But people remember what works. They don't necessarily remember for what failed. So you get, you know what I mean? Okay.
As I found inside my industry. I remember, so a perfect example. So back when I started my company, the tech company, in the 90s, in the 97 is when we formed. That was help desk tickets. How many help desk tickets a month can you get? It's $75 a ticket. And that's how you're charged. We saw seat pricing, because that's how things are done now. How many computers do you have? I'll support your computers with a Microsoft Office and antivirus for X dollars a seat. We were doing seat support and went to seat support before 2000. And it was just, and I'm not saying we invented this, I'm saying we've seen it outside our industry. And we put together a package, and then we think things like, well, if there's if we have administrative control of the machine and we can get these conditions, we will fix the problem. Doesn't matter, you could have 50 tickets. Because we look at the ticket count. The ticket count says this stuff. It's like it's always the same things over and over and over again. It's password resets. It's nothing to do with the machine itself. How often does a machine fail? Well, 3% of machines fail, and statistics. So we went through the whole thing and looked at it, and it's like, we'll do seat support. But you never know where you're going to get your idea from, and a lot of times it's going to come out from outside your industry. So don't always just look at. That's what we love about EO, because we're in groups with people that are not in our business. No one in my forum is in my business. No, that's the whole thing.
One of the things I did in my other company was I put in the 80-20 rule. So I really looked at where my business was coming from and where the money's coming from. Sometimes it's not adding. Sometimes it's looking at where the money's coming from and cutting out the other stuff and just focusing on that. So it is hard to do, but like with marketing, my marketing people used to run after all sorts of different referral sources. I ended up taking them on as straight verticals. So I took people that were bringing in $1 million a year, and they were able to bring in $5 million a year with 100 people.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because sometimes you want to reallocate more resources to certain customers because it can maximize the ROI of your time, their time, and the business time. Yeah, Lauren said something earlier that I thought was interesting. She's like, I don't have ADHD or ADD, but I just find myself getting pulled in different directions, and it's pretty distracting, and I don't really know how to stay focused. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Now, the answer is, how do you combat that. And if you can learn anything today from me, it's you should find yourself in the position where you're saying no more than you're saying yes. Does that make sense? Because it's very easy to be yes, 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 yes. The next no, you're stretched too thin, and you're just going to fail everyone. I'm in the position now when people offer me something, I say no, and they say, why? It's a great idea. I go, it might be a great idea, but if I say yes to you, I know I don't have the bandwidth right now. I'm going to fail you. It's going to make me look bad. I don't want to fail you. So the business saying no is pretty good. That's the end of this segment. I got, any other final questions here? This is kind of an interesting story I kind of wanted to leave you in this segment with, and we'll take a little break. This is me, 2012, at my very first food show in Miami at a hotel. There's a room full of vendors like myself who've got their wares on a table. This was hosted by the foodexport.gov. It's a public program where they bring buyers from overseas to the U.S., and then these American manufacturers or brokers like myself have tables, and it's speed dating for international business. Kind of cool. I had my table, and every 20 minutes, another buyer from another country comes and sit down and goes, let me see what you got. Let me try this. What's your pricing? And when you come to a deal. Kind of neat. Well, see this freezer right here? You've all had this product before. It's called Chunks of Fruity. It's that popsicle with the chunks of strawberry in it or the chunks of mango in it. It's a delicious product. Manufactured in South Florida. Had the exclusive international rights for the product at this time. We launched this business. And I called them. I said, hey, I have a convention in Miami. Can you get a freezer to the show? I'm going to have it next to my booth. I'm going to let people to try the product. So I don't have to have like an ice box. You know what I mean? And this is good marketing, right? I called up. I said, can we get that? My co-founder at the time was like, what are you doing, dude? No one, just have it, the catalog. Don't worry about having the freezer there. What are you doing? I'm not just going to have the catalog. They got to try it. He goes, everyone's had it before. And what do you do? We don't have enough room. And are we even allowed to have a freezer next to our table? Are they going to care? I go, I don't care. They're going to give me a hard time about having a freezer and I'm giving out free popsicles to 400 people? Oh, no one's going to care. I go, it's great. I'm getting the freezer. Don't worry about it. He's like, you're responsible for it. I'm like, oh, my pleasure. Very first buyer was this company called the Eighth Continent Tech in Aruba. The guy he has a monopoly in Aruba. He's the cold supply chain in Aruba. And he sits down, Raul, and he sits down and he say, you're from Aruba, you want to try something really good? I open the freezer, I give him a strawberry. I ask him, I say, mango, strawberry, or coconut? He goes, I'll take strawberry. He takes one bite of it and places an order on the spot for $25,000. And I have had him as a client now for over 13 years. He's my longest lasting client, and he would not have made that purchase had I listened to my co-founder. Interesting? Yeah, co-founder isn't with the business anymore. I bought him out 2.5 years after that incident. But just an interesting thing to keep in mind, And what did I do? I'm the only one there with a freezer, the only one there with popsicles, because no one else had cold frozen stuff. And here we go. So a little lesson about how you can kind of pop, be a little different, take it, go for the no. Meaning, let them tell me I can't have a freezer there. In fact, it was the opposite. All the ladies who ran it were over it. They had 2 or 3 by the end of the day, and they were so happy that I had it, right? Kind of silly and kind of fun. But, again, going back to that advisor conversation from before, not everyone's going to be right. So at the end of the day, you got to go with your gut and go with your instinct and have your conviction. And just because someone says something doesn't mean they're right. So we'll take a break here, 15 minutes, come on back, and then we're going to talk about AI.